And at Jaguar, we're passionate about our people, and we're committed to fostering a diverse, inclusive, and unified culture that is representative not only of the people who use our products, but in a society in which we all live, a culture where our employees can bring their authentic selves to work. And we're on a transformative journey of our own, driven by a belief in diversity, inclusion, creativity, policy, and most importantly, action. We've established over 15 DEI groups such as Pride, who are here tonight in the back. Thank you guys for coming. Women in Engineering and Neurodiversity Matters. We've launched major policy revisions such as transitioning at work to drive equity and support for our communities, embracing individuality as our superpower.
All right, you guys probably remember last year when Jaguar released an ad announcing that it had been wholly and completely infected by the woke mind virus. Apparently, they weren't reading the room and didn't realize that conservatives were now winning the culture war. So they went through with this ridiculous ad here. We'll take a look at it real quick. I'll show you guys. I'm not going to play the whole ad with the sound and everything because it might be copyrighted. But so here are the androgynous people with bright colors and strange clothing. Live vivid, delete ordinary. Well, they did that. Breaking things. And drag queen story hour. Apparently, no vehicle anywhere in the automaker ad, which is it's unbelievable, really. But so, anyways, that was the ad that announced they're coming out of the closet. Conservatives at the time were bashing the car company. They realized exactly what was coming for them, and unfortunately for Jaguar, they didn't see the road ahead. Personally, I think it was the ad alone and the new direction that they had decided to take that completely wrecked the company, I guess you'd say. Okay, so I've got an article here I want to read with you guys telling you what's going on. Jaguar sales crater a shocking 98% after woke rebrand EV pivot. Jaguar sales in Europe plunged a shocking 97.5% following a botched rebrand that included a commercial featuring men in skirts to announce its upcoming pivot toward an all-electric fleet, but the cars have yet to arrive at dealerships. A luxury British automaker registered just 49 vehicles in Europe in April, compared with 1,961 vehicles in the same month last year, according to data from the European Automobile Manufacturers Association. That is just unreal. They destroyed themselves, right? They destroyed themselves. I think, it's a British automaker, and I think the problems over in England, we can talk about that another time. That's not for this video, but I think people spoke out with their wallets, just as we had here in America with Bud Light. Sales between January and April plummeted 75.1%, with just 2,665 cars sold across the continent. The stunning decline comes after Jaguar rolled out a controversial ad last November that featured non-binary models wearing a rainbow of colors with slogans like "Copy Nothing" and "Live Vivid," but excluded any images of its sleek sports cars as it touted its transition to a fully electric ultra luxury company. That was a poor idea. But I think even trying to switch to electric or bring out an electric line wasn't enough to destroy the company. They haven't even dropped any of those vehicles yet. I think it was wholly they were on the wrong end of the culture war. The conservatives won the culture war. As of this point, they're winning the culture war, I should say. And that woke drag queen story hour weirdness just isn't popular. The uproar over the woke ads was likened to Bud Light's bizarre 2023 partnership with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Well, yeah, because this is pretty much they followed right straight in those foot. They should have paid attention to what happened with Bud Light, and they would have probably saved themselves. Which led to a boycott of America's best-selling beer and severely damaged the brand. However, the collapse in sales can mostly be attributed to the delay in releasing its flagship model of four-door GT. The EV, expected to cost around $200,000, won't be out until late 2025, according to India-based The Economic Times. Now, I read that Economic Times article, and it certainly does lean heavily that it's because of the delay in the EV release, but I just really don't think that's it, because BMW and Volvo and other cars in that class of vehicle are still doing well in sales, or at least much better than Jaguar. Making matters worse, Bloomberg reported that the company has effectively gone dormant this year as it phased out all of its gas and diesel-powered models ahead of time, leaving dealerships empty. Well, that was a really poor move, wasn't it? It sounds like Jaguar has just made a series of really terrible decisions for the company and are bent on destroying it, which, that leads back to the wokeness. That whole movement was just designed to destroy norms, destroy common sense, destroy normalcy. The rest of its EVs, which were a lightning rod for President Trump during his 2024 election campaign, are set to go on sale by next summer at the earliest, according to Bloomberg. The Post reached out to Jaguar for comment. Jaguar's EV pivot and ad campaign were seemingly intended to attract younger customers. That's interesting, because one thing they neglected to acknowledge is that, at least in America, I assume it's globally, the younger customers are leaning more conservative than young people ever have before. But instead drew sharp criticism from industry experts, dealers, and longtime fans as the iconic company failed to halt a slide in sales. And this was the downfall, that was the detriment of Bud Light for sure. The automaker sold just over 180,000 units worldwide in 2018, but that figure shrank to just under 27,000 last year. Jaguar was once owned by Ford, but the Detroit-based firm sold the brand and its sister company Land Rover to India's Tata Motors in 2008 for $2.3 billion. Now, why did they say this is a British manufacturer? Now it says it's once owned by Ford, and now it's saying it's an Indian company. So I don't know much about this company. I can tell you that these vehicles are well outside of my income class. Ford, Tata Motors, and British companies. So apparently I don't know. That's strange to me. I don't understand that. If you know what that means, if you get that, let me know in the comments what they're talking about. Ford bought Jaguar for $2.5 billion in 1989, but it never made a profit. It later acquired SUV manufacturer Land Rover for $2.7 billion in 2000. So that's it. That's really all I got for you. I just wanted to jump in there and have a laugh about that. Maybe it's the wokeness. I think that certainly played a big part. The woke advertisement and the announcement that they had been infected by the woke mind virus. I think that's played a huge part. I think it was a poor decision for Jaguar to decide to go to an electric-only lineup. If I understand that right, that's just terrible. That's awful. This world isn't ready for electric-only, EVs only. I don't know. I don't know what would make anyone decide that was a good idea, but maybe it'll work out for them in the long run, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But thanks for checking me out, and if you got anything out of this, leave a like. If you had a laugh like I did, please leave a thumbs up. If you disagree, if you disliked what you saw, leave a dislike. That's fine too. Think about leaving a comment. I'd like to hear what you have to say, and consider subscribing. I will catch you later.